Hi, I'm Ben Visosky.
I'm Emily Sullivan.
And I'm Anthony Smallbed.
I'm Olivia Thomas.
And I'm Emily Lawrence.
And we're Group 13. The book Restaurant for Success by the Numbers by Roger Fields was a book just giving you tips on how to successfully run and open a restaurant. All of the information was put into a how-to format. For our project, we decided to do a book review relaying all of the information in condensed form for all of you. All of our information has come straight from the book.
The rules of the game. In order to start a restaurant successfully, there are a couple things you need to look out for that can bring down your restaurant without it even getting very far. One common reason most restaurants fail is that they have poor operational management. You need to have a well-trained and happy staff. Good management will help set the tone and influence employee attitudes and performance, and encourage repeat customer visits. You also need to make sure you choose the right location. A bad location can ruin a very promising restaurant. Having a well-thought-out concept is also very important in order to ensure the success of a restaurant. It needs to be able to attract customers and to help build a following. There are a few rules you should follow to keep your restaurant afloat. Rule number 1, keep one foot firmly planted in the realities of business and the other firm in your passion for your restaurant. You need to be smart about operating your restaurant because passion for food won't mean success, but it also helps you if you stay true to your passion and have it show through the food. Rule number 2, consider starting small. You have a lot less to lose if you start small, but will still learn a lot about how to successfully run a restaurant. Once you have that well-founded background knowledge, you have a much better chance to start a bigger restaurant if that is your true goal. Rule number 3, set realistic goals. Don't expect to be making a 6-digit income right away so you can retire in a few years. Rule number 4, take stock of your financial situation. Be smart on how you build your restaurant and don't start one that will drain your resources faster than you gain them. Rule number 5, surround yourself with the right people. Become friends with people who have been through this before, like chefs and other managers. This will help prevent too many small mistakes that can ruin your restaurant. Restaurant concepts.
The important things to remember about your restaurant is what service, style, and type it will be. Try to incorporate unique things into the menu too to make it stand out.
That's it?
Menu.
When building a menu and choosing what items to put on it, you must figure out what your target market is and who exactly you are going to be feeding these items to. By doing this, you will increase sales, number of customers, and overall restaurant rating. To figure out what your target market is, you can keep it very simple or go into much detail and research. You can base your menu off of what other restaurants around you are doing, or even go around the community and look at the people of the community to base what type of items you should put on your menu. This is a very key part of restaurant success. Having the right items on your menu is key and will sometimes make or break a restaurant. There is no such thing as a perfect menu, but to make your menu as best as possible, you may want to consider quite a few things. It's kitchen time!
When you're thinking about building and constructing your restaurant, make sure you really think about the layout. Little things like how many people are going to be in the kitchen at once and how much prep space you're really going to need are all things that are really overlooked. There are people that design kitchens and help you figure out what kitchen appliances you need for a living. Do not be cheap about things like that. Hire someone to help you.
Taking it to the streets.
Before opening a restaurant, you want it to already be known so people then will be ready to see what your restaurant is like. You do this by spreading the word about a new restaurant opening and the type of food they have. Once you have opened, you have to maintain good credibility and keep your customers happy so they will spread the good word about your restaurant. By having positive words spread about your restaurant, you're more likely to have critics come and try your food to give you a good reputation.
You will need much more than just good food to become a successful restaurant. In order to succeed, you need to send out a good vibe to the customers that will make them want to come back. Hiring a designer or an architect will make it much easier for you to bring your idea to life. While designing your restaurant, keep in mind to create a good flow so you reduce the possibilities of an accident when the servers are running through the place. And be careful when you are applying upgrades to your restaurant to improve the quality of the ambiance. While you're at it, change orders are seemingly small but can add up very quickly, and they are one of the common reasons starting restaurants are overrun with costs.
Dollars and cents.
When figuring out how you're going to open a restaurant, it is really important that you have an idea of how much it's going to cost you. You need to figure out how much you're going to spend on the ingredients and how much money you're expected to make. You need to do your research on the other restaurants in the surrounding areas to see how well they're doing and how much money they're making to ensure that your restaurant can be successful.
Getting the money.
It is a good idea when starting a restaurant to have many investors so you don't have to use every dollar you have. With a lot of investors, you have more possibilities to improve the quality of your restaurant. There are also a few commonly overlooked funding sources. If a landlord has a section of land that has been vacated for some time, they might be willing to lend a hand in starting your restaurant so that they can start earning rent from that area. They might be willing to give you a period of no rent or even put improvements into the lot. By doing this, the landlord is helping your restaurant stay in business so that you can keep paying rent to him. There is going to be a lot of costs piling up, so one good way to save money is to buy used equipment. Setting the table.
This chapter explains the cost and design issues that could happen when ordering chairs, tables, silverware, and glassware. Always keep in mind when ordering measurements of the restaurant so that everything will fit and it won't be overcrowded. There's nothing worse than not being able to move around. Also, it is important to remember all of the different forks, knives, spoons, and glasses that go into setting the table.
Location.
Before opening a restaurant, you must understand the type of location you are putting your restaurant in. Location is everything, and it will help determine the success of your business. When choosing a location, you must make sure that you have available parking, good visibility from the streets, and it is very accessible. If you have none of these things, it's very hard for a restaurant to strive because it isn't convenient for people to go there. Also, when looking at location, you need to look at the type of people that are living in the neighborhoods around it to see if the type of restaurant you are opening will fit well with the type of people that live in your community. If it's mainly a family community, then opening a non-kid-friendly restaurant may not do the best compared to other kid-friendly restaurants in the area.
Employment.
Now that you are on the right track for setting up your establishment, hiring your crew is one of your most difficult tasks you will face before opening and as well throughout running your restaurant. A very helpful idea is to have your whole crew completely hired and trained before even opening your restaurant. One of the biggest questions asked is simply, who do I know to hire? This is also one of the hardest questions to answer. Hiring family and friends, although sounds like a good idea, in the end is a bad idea for many reasons. The best plan for hiring is to carefully examine and go through your applications and interviews. There is never too many interviews to have when choosing who is going to run your restaurant. After hiring your crew, it is vital to put them through some sort of training program. It is critical that you have a thorough training process and all your employees are up to date on all rules and regulations as well as how you want them running your restaurant. Failing to train your employees right could cost you a lot in the end. If there is one thing that will set you apart the most from all other restaurants, it is your service. Having your employees treat your customers with the perfect service will set you so much better off than any other restaurant, and you will see these results through numbers of customers and as well as profit. Stressing great customer service is not only important but necessary. Dealing with your customers and their expectations is a very hard task to complete successfully. But if you do, then you will see many positives come from it. But in the end, it is impossible to make every single customer that comes to your establishment happy. But learning from those mistakes and outrageous customers is what will keep you and your staff improving. Raising the bar.
When deciding on whether you should have a bar or the type of bar you want to open, you need to look at your target market to see you will be serving and what would they want to come to. If you are in a younger adult environment, then the bar should be more lively and fun. While in family environments, alcohol might be served at the table rather than an actual bar where kids aren't allowed. In order to sell alcohol, you need to have different types of licenses, like full liquor licenses that allow you to sell spirits, beers, and wines, rather than having a beer and wine license, which only allows you to serve beer and wine. The bar layout is also important when having a bar in a restaurant, especially when it is in a family environment. Most parents don't want their kids walking through bars, so by having it separate from the restaurant, it helps keep it kid-friendly. There are many rules and regulations to having a bar, which can make it challenging.
Setting up the business.
This chapter explains the steps you need to take to set up your business's legal framework. Paying rent seems okay, but it can be one of the biggest monthly expenses. In most cases, the right lease or location deal can be the deciding factor if your business makes it or breaks it. When looking at paperwork, it is important to pay close attention to the lease terms, use and occupation, rent security, and insurance.
It's the big day, opening day.
Now that you have followed all the advice and tips that this book has given you, you're ready to open your restaurant. You need to make sure that you keep your sales on point and make sure to manage your inventory and your staff to keep your new restaurants very successful.